Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and we are reviewing episode 5. One more to go. Episode 5 of The Best Shape of My Life by Will Smith. My goodness, my goodness. This episode right here. Okay. Before we get into it, of course, subscribe to my channel. You already know what it is. Of course, like and comment, join the conversation, because Will is giving us some good stuff. He is giving us truly the the masterclass of vulnerability and how difficult it is to be vulnerable. Pretty much what he did through the first 3.5 episodes is try to be getting jiggy with it, Will Smith, while at the same time going through some of the most painful experiences of his life and sharing it with the world. And he realized I can't do that at the same time, and he let down his veil. In 4th episode, he's like, I quit. And so this is what we're now seeing behind the veil. We're seeing what Will was trying to prevent himself from feeling, and this experience right here, with his mother and the domestic violence that he witnessed as a child, and how he protected himself from the pain of that experience. My goodness, heavy stuff, but powerful stuff that we can use to, of course, apply to our lives and take a look at ourselves to see how do we protect ourselves from the pain that we experienced as a child. So we look at him asking himself, like, how can I ever be free from these two parallels? He has this Uncle Fluffy who's like super nice, entertaining, everybody loves, and he has this general, this very stern person that's very, again, very much like his father. And so the general was coming out. He's like, I have to get this book done. I have to write this. I have to build brick by brick. I have to lose these pounds. And Uncle Fluffy was trying, but Uncle Fluffy was like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Me and the general are not getting along. And so he's really asking, like, when can I be free from this? I feel trapped by these two polarizing characters that are inside of me. And we all have these polarizing characters, whether we know it or attend to it or not. We do have these polarizing characters. And so it's how we make peace with them and accept them and show compassion to them. And that's, for your therapist. But that is what we're seeing that Will Smith is doing for himself. So he shares a story about how he was in this this film festival, and they are watching like 15 films in like the span of 5 days. I'm like, oh my God. And of course they're critiquing it. So it's not just like looking at the film like, oh, that was great. They're critiquing it. They're grading it. So it's a very much more intensive look at it. And he is tired. So he said, I got 30 minutes to be in the gym. It's for me. It's my time. That's it. Nobody else gets it. And this wonderful man was like, oh my God, Will Smith, I want your autograph. And he is forced with a principle. He's forced with a, do I give in to this? Do I say, okay, Uncle Fluffy, you get to show up and take this picture, even though Uncle Fluffy is tired? Or do I say, I'm going to stick with what I said to myself and say no? He said no. He said no, and Uncle Fluffy broke down. Will Smith broke down. I'm going to use IFS language. And again, if you don't know what IFS is, internal family systems, watch my video. It'll break it down for you. But, so Uncle Fluffy, Will Smith, breaks down. He cries, just bawls. And I believe, just insightfully, I feel that Uncle Fluffy was scared of, one, was hurt too. Hurt because he's like, man, I disappointed this man and this man's, I think it was brother, okay? And so the pain of that, like not being liked and worried about how that's going to affect him. And then two, also just feeling afraid and scared about, okay, how is this going to show up? Is this now going to be a part of who I am? Like, am I, so it was like a lot of internal turmoil that was happening inside of Will at that time. But he chose himself, and just like Will chose himself the last episode, I'm not doing this show anymore. I'm done. I'm done. And he sat down with the trainer, and said, I can't let making a show about being the best shape of my life get in the way of me being in the best shape of my life. I'm glad that his therapist also brought up that, this was a breakthrough moment for him, because, again, we have to choose ourselves. And this is when you see all those memes of choose you. This is a great example of Will choosing him and doing that. So he starts off week 16. He gives himself a little cushion. I guess the scale said 205.4 at one time. So he's like, okay, I'll take it. It's my weight. And then he has 5 more chapters to go. And so he talks about artists needing discipline. And deadlines. I definitely agree with this. Artists just tend to be, while I am, I'm not an artist. I'm a therapist by profession. I do have a lot of artist expression, and also am friends with a lot of artists and connect with a lot of artists. And we are very just kind of go with the flow kind of thing. And so in our creativity, it comes, it goes. It's not always on the clock. And so you have to have deadlines as an artist in order to kind of reel some of that in and, stick to your guns. And so that's, what he was using to get this book done, and also to help him, physically get in the best shape of his life. So he talked about, he was sitting down sharing with his brother. I guess this is a part of definitely him sharing his childhood memories, is sitting down with his brother about how he really hates being in his emotions, like being deep in his emotions, getting lost in his emotions. He talked about getting slapped by his father when he came home, came over like, oh my God, and just like slapped, like, get over. And how he just like was able to numb it, and seal it in, and conceal it to please his father, and and also not get any more spankings. So yeah, he says, I hate it when people get lost in emotions. He feels it's like weakness. And he uses this term to call out his father, Daddy-O. And I don't know where this term comes from. He doesn't share it. I'm curious if it is something he calls his dad to play up the love and admiration he has for him. Oftentimes when parents are playing a abusive role in your life, it could cause so many torn feelings, where there's a part of you that does love and appreciate your father. While he said, my father has made me be the best man that I could ever be, and at the same time, I was hurt by him, and I was deathly afraid of him. And so I'm wondering if Daddy-O, and that using that word or that nickname to call him is a way to like play up or play into his admiration and care and love he has for his father. But he talks about his drinking and how it made him an idiot. And how it made him do things that he would normally, tell some other people that he wouldn't do. He talked about his mother carrying this like calm elegance, this regalness, and recounted some physical abuse. He recounted a time where he witnessed his mother being hit so hard by his father that she was coughing up or spitting out blood, and he was frozen and didn't know what to do and took the blame for it, saying that he felt like he should have done something to protect her, should have fought him off or tried to do something to but he himself was probably scared. And this is something that's very, very common for people in abusive or traumatic experiences, not just emotional or physical trauma, but even all types of trauma. And it's a way that our body tries to, and our brain really tries to control the situation. If we feel like we can control it, that we can prevent it. And oftentimes there are so many things that are out of our realm of control. Our brain doesn't know how to compute for that. And so it tells us a lie that we can control things that we can't. And so when things happen outside of our control that hurt us, that leads to us blaming ourselves. And blame, which that'll be another video, blame is so much more complicated than our childlike minds can really handle. And so it's very black and white. It's like either it was your fault or my fault. And most of the time we say it's our fault because we want to prevent the pain from happening to us again. If that makes sense. So talked about him and his siblings and how they responded to this trauma. How his brother was fight, his sister was flight, and he was pleased. He was the entertainer. He's like, if I keep everybody happy, then the abuse doesn't happen. And so he had to realize that 9-year-old Will could not control this. So he called himself a coward, saying that all of his accolades, his accomplishments, his career, and Will has had a career. Isn't this not talking about 2 or 3 movies? Will, and he didn't just like star or appear in the movies. He was starring or directing and writing these movies, right? Like he has had a very, very lengthy award-winning and nominating career, and yet he was still feeling like that 9-year-old Will being a coward who couldn't save his mother. It was so powerful that his mother and him were able to have this conversation. She was able to talk to 9-year-old Will and say, there's no way that you could have protected me, and I wasn't looking for you to do that, and that you're not a coward. That's beautiful. Oftentimes, unfortunately, it does not happen. A lot of times parents aren't able to meet their adult children where they are emotionally at 9 years old. They just look at them like, that affected you this long? Why, why is it still bothering you now? But Will's mom was able to sit with him and acknowledge him and say, you're not a coward. And she's like, I never thought of you as a coward. She even herself was saying how she had tried to protect them, how she tried to protect them by fighting back so they wouldn't be scared. And then also was trying to control the situation and saying like, well, maybe if I was more submissive, then I wouldn't have been abused. And that is also very typical, unfortunately, people who are abused, because again, we're trying to protect it. We're trying to prevent it. We're trying to prevent it. And really, it's up to that person, which she did. She said, I'm not doing this anymore, and she left and went to move in with her mother. So grateful that she was able to leave. Not everybody does leave. I'm grateful that she was able to leave the abuse. Some interesting things that I just noticed as observing. I love to people watch. And so I was doing this, that Will, just when he was introducing his mom at the table talk, he had such a boyish, he even said, my mom is here. She read the book and we talked, and it was just like, he just had this very boyish kind of energy, that he was still like trying to please her and make sure everything was okay. Like that, that energy was kind of, was present. His confidence wasn't, his normal like swag wasn't there that he, tries to present with. He was very just like my mom, and it was very cute to see little Will show up and introducing his mom. But that was really great. The other thing that was something to notice, or something to note, was when Will talked about this being the abuse that he witnessed at 9 being the one time that he considered suicide. And truly, trauma, truly a byproduct of trauma is, usually a part to try to prevent the pain and protect us from the pain. Is also saying like, we don't have to do this. We don't have to live here. We don't have to keep experiencing this. And so it can try to, talk to you to convince you of that. And so we see that with Will, but he said this was the, truly like the only time that he really experiences, and I'm sure it's because his mother left eventually. My guess is if his mother were to have stayed, that this part would have definitely come and continue to convince Will to leave, because our brains are really just wired to prevent pain. And so a part of that is saying, like, hey, if this is going to be life, then why don't we just end it? And so grateful that she left again. So we will continue to dive in and see where Will takes us next. They do give us a glimpse at his father, or footage of his father will be a part of the last episode. So I am so intrigued to see what Will show us next. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, and of course join in the conversation. If you or yourself have experienced any abuse or suicidal thoughts, please see in my description below. There will be information and resources for you to connect with, as this is very, very serious and something that we need to address more and talk about more in our community. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Peace.